Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is DJ. Let's talk books. So I would like to wish everyone out there a very Merry Christmas. And for those who don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays and all of those wonderful festive things. This has been a crazy work holiday season for me. I've been working. I've been out and about and not getting as much rest as I would like. So I'm taking this time to chill out, relax in the house, and spend this holiday time with family and friends and rest. Anyone out there who needs some rest, take this time to rest. If you got the day off, chill, just chill. But I did want to stop by and spend some time with my bookish people and stop by BookTube and talk a little bit about some books that I randomly pulled off my shelf. And I wanted to be a little creative and a little festive and create a random read holiday stack. So before I get into my random read holiday festive stack, I figured I would talk about a book that I recently finished reading, and it's by the awesome, genius, magnificent Toni Morrison, and that book is Sula. I don't know, it's a little glary, you guys know. Sula. Oh yeah, I still have the holiday nails. If you watched my recent videos, you know. You know the struggle, you know what's going on. They kind of grew on me, you know, kinda. A lot of people like them. A lot of people have just been like, oh yeah, your nails are cool. Yeah. Thank you guys also for being so supportive and telling me that you do like my nails. If you do, I really appreciate it. Thank you. I low-key hated them when I first got them. And I mean, they look like Christmas presents, right? Like, I don't know. This is where we are. But yeah, so Sula. So this book just falls in line with everything that is Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison is just Toni Morrison. If you haven't read any of her books, just go and do it, because whatever you're doing is a waste of time compared to reading a Toni Morrison book. Okay, so this book follows multiple people that live in this town called The Bottom. And it's really weird that they call this town The Bottom, because it's actually on the top of a hill, or like multiple hills. And all of this is taking place in like the early 1900s. So most of this land is like undeveloped. It's in the country. This is in Ohio. So what's happening is the white people that live in this town pretty much convinced the black people that the top of the hill was the bottom of heaven. And they would be dumb to like not take this land, like just purchase all this land on the top of the hill. And all the white people were like, we're gonna go live in the valley. And the trick to that was, when you live in the valley, you have like stable land and like kind of like grounded land to work with for farming. Meanwhile, all the people on the bottom who live on the top of the hill, they can't farm. You can't farm on a hill. Like if you do, you know, there'll be like mudslides, and just like the geography of it all just doesn't give a good like support system for having a farm on a hill. So yeah, that was like the weirdness of this like exchange between the black and the white people in this town. Everyone that lives in the bottom are pretty much like, you know, poor. This is like going towards the time of like the Great Depression, so money is tight and a lot of people in this town are struggling. So we're following this girl named Nell, and she's like 13 years old, and she meets this girl named Sula. I'm gonna put this down. So Nell and Sula become like best of friends. Everyone is just like, you know, you can't tell one from the other because they're so close, and they have this bond that is strange to both of them. And a lot of strange things happen in this town. There's this guy named Shadrach who has created this holiday called Suicide Day. And that's a long story. You should read the book because that's crazy. There's also a bunch of other characters. This guy named Tar Baby, which is a reference to another Toni Morrison book. There's Eva Peace, who is like one of the big mamas in town. She's like the town grandma, and she has this house where she like puts people up, kind of like a bed and breakfast if someone's coming into town. There's all sorts of people. There's a bunch of people that live in the town, and we're following all of their stories kind of like simultaneously, but Nell and Sula are like the main characters. And one day, Nell and Sula are like playing by this like lake or pond, pond, and they meet up with this little boy, and the little boy is playing with them, and Sula grabs the boy by his hands, and she starts spinning around and, you know, playing like she's gonna toss him, but she does toss the boy, and he ends up in the river. And just for a trigger warning, there are like multiple like deaths in this book. This book has crazy violent scenes that are just not for the faint of heart. And if you don't like abrupt, crazy, violent things happening, this might not be the book for you. But she spins this boy and she throws him into the river, and he does drown. And the crazy thing about it is that like Sula is all like, whoa, like I just killed this kid. She's crying, she's going through it. And Nell is standing in the back like, She found it more interesting than she found it to be traumatic or terrible. And the strange thing about this connection that they have is as they grow older, we see more of that uncaring spirit in Sula than we do in Nell. Nell gets married, she has kids, and she becomes a part of the community, and she's a loving woman. Sula actually leaves the community and goes and has this big life in the city. She goes to college and she does different things, and she comes back to become a very, very hated woman in town. She's like sleeping with all the men. She's very witty, very sarcastic. She has like this way about her that she doesn't need anyone. And in this time, most people feel like a woman that's in her like late 20s, early 30s should be married, should have kids, should be settling down. And multiple women in the town are telling her like, hey, you need a man to kind of like reel you in, which is crazy because if you want to be independent and wild and free-spirited, that's great, just as long as you're not hurting anyone. And Sula was definitely hurting people, so it's crazy. But the book leads into the town hating Sula. Sula gets sick. Nell and Sula kind of like break apart and go down different paths because Sula does something crazy to Nell. This book is crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that book, and like another Toni Morrison 5-star read that I'm just not over yet, because if you would like to read something that is out of this world and ridiculously crazy, I suggest you read Sula by Toni Morrison. Boom. Okay, so the first book on my random read holiday festival Christmas winter solstice list is The Nickel Boys, and this book is by Colson Whitehead. There's actually two of Colson Whitehead's books on this stack because Colson Whitehead is a genius. So I've heard. I've never read any of his books, which is crazy because I've had this book for a while and I've had the other book for about a year now. And, you know, we get around to it. We get around to it. But I heard he's a genius. So The Nickel Boys, this cover is dope. Love that. Love contrast. So The Nickel Boys is following two young black boys. One very like naive, not really accustomed to like street life and you know, just the ways of the urban culture, and then another boy who is very, very used to street life and culture. He's more cunning, he's more like suspicious of everyone and skeptical, and they are in this juvenile detention center that does exist in real life, and that's kind of like why Colson wrote this book, to kind of shine a light on this juvenile detention center that existed for 111 years and operated in horrific experiences for young black boys and probably young white boys, Asian boys, Spanish boys, anyone who is like just drowned in the overwave of urban, poor, and like impoverished areas. So this book follows some of the experiences that they have in this detention center, and apparently the more naive character is dealing with issues of trying to see the ideals of betterment for people, and the more skeptical character is feeling like, hey, listen, you'll mess around and like lose your whole life trying to believe in people, especially people that are like in a situation like this where we're in a place or in a facility where horrors happen based off of the faculty. So I can only imagine the horrors or the crazy experiences that they're having with the other juveniles that are there. The focus and the basis of this book is very heartbreaking, and a lot of people have read it and said that it's very like traumatizing, it's heartbreaking, but it's a story that needs to be told. And of course it's a story that needed to be told because this place existed. And there are probably other places, definitely other places that exist where kids are abused and treated with neglect, and they need some type of guidance that is positive, and they're not getting it in those places. So yeah, this will be very insightful, and I can't wait to read it because from what I hear, Colson Whitehead is a genius. The Nickel Boys. So the next book on my list is Crying in Hmart. And this is by Michelle Zauner. I hope I said your name right because I struggle with names. This we know. Yeah, this cover is really cool too. It's making me hungry. Y'all know it's Christmas and I'm over here like, when the food gonna be ready? But yeah, so Crying in Hmart, this is a memoir, and this is pretty much following Michelle and dealing with the issues of being separated from family. I'm not sure if it's based off of like religion or like culture or things like that, but this is a story that most cultures can relate to when you deal with parents or family and culture that don't accept individualism, when you're ready to kind of like explore life and see who you are and figure it out. Some people, most people, if not, end up like straying away from home and kind of like running away from the culture and the traditions that they know so that they can figure out who they are and find some privacy and freedom, which always brings like revolution and revelation to life. And it's sad that most people have to go through the like pulling and the like cutting of the tether between them and their families in order to figure out who they are. But I think that we are coming upon a time where a lot of families are being more open to understanding the differences in people and letting them be a little different, but not everyone. Not everyone. But yeah, so she pretty much leaves her family and she goes to explore her life, and then she deals with the grief of losing her mother, which kind of like brings her back to her Korean roots, where she starts to shop more at her favorite Korean supermarket and just like indulging in that Korean neighborhood and culture more so that she can feel more nostalgic and embrace the memories that she lost just because of, you know, having to be apart from her family and figure out who she is. I've heard a lot of praise for this book. I've seen 1 or 2 reviews where people talk about it, and I think that it's going to be good. I hope it's good. But yeah, Crying in Hmart. It's on the list. So the next book on my red list is Make Change, and this is by Sean King. See if you can see the designs on that jammy. It's kind of nice. I love the texture. It's really cool. So I've had this book for quite a while. I think this book came out in like 2020, and I haven't read it yet, but I do follow Sean King on social media, and I have some things to say. I'm gonna put this down. I follow Sean King, and I followed him for a while because he shines a light on a lot of things that deal with injustice and oppression against minority groups, especially the Black community. And if you haven't noticed, I'm Black. And a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about Sean because they feel that he is like a grifter or he's like a thief. And he's one of those people that kind of like exploits the Black community or many minorities that are going through things that have been like systematically woven into our culture here in America. And they think that he kind of like exploits it so that he can make money off of it. And it's just a lot going on with that because people have come forth like, hey, as a family that Sean has like fought for justice for, he's never done this to us. And then a lot of people come out and say, hey, we do have evidence that he's done this. And in my opinion, I feel like, of course, that is a terrible thing to do if he is exploiting the happenings with these families. But also, I do feel like someone doing this type of work for a community that needs it, they do deserve to be paid. So like, you know, these stories where they're like, oh, well, he has a big house and he's making all this money, he's flying all over the world. And I think if he's doing that in the name of justice, if he's like spreading awareness about Gaza and what's really happening in those streets, I think that the man deserves to get paid. But that's just me. If I was out there doing that type of work and how dangerous it is and how much time it takes and your life is consumed, I would want to get paid. But yeah, I want to read his book and I want to see more of his story because recently, actually today, Instagram and Meta deleted Sean King's Instagram. They deleted all of his videos, all his information, and he had 5 million followers. So they deleted him off of Instagram. So all those people that were actually watching his content and seeing what's going on in Gaza and seeing how Israel has murdered over 20,000 people without any ideals of a ceasefire, it's kind of crazy to see that deleted. It's kind of crazy to know that like other videos that kind of like portray Israel in the light of glory will not be deleted, and all of these videos that show that Palestine needs aid, they need help, they need to be heard as a people that do not deserve to be annihilated based off of whatever beliefs that are out there. If it's like religious belief, if it's the belief that these people don't belong on this land, whatever the situation is, it does not call for a genocide. Sean King is one of the people that really stood for that, and he's been standing up for people for a very long time. So I decided that I'm going to read his book, and just in honor and solidarity with somebody who wants to fight for justice, who wants peace for everyone. So this is on my list, and I just wanted to make this time out to make change and bring a awareness to someone who is out there fighting for the right thing, and people give him a really bad rap. And I hate that. But here we are. Make change. Sean King. It's Christmas. Woo! Okay, so the next book on my list is Glory. And this is by Novilet Bulawayo. Now, I know I ruined that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm from Harlem. We don't say things like this, and it's sad. We need to, like, open up and just be more, like, you know, explorative, find more things out, say more names. But okay, so Glory, the cover is really cool and strange. Let's just talk about how strange this is. And this, in my opinion, is probably going to be a strange read, but it might not be. But this book ultimately takes the narrative of the coup that happened in Zimbabwe and multiple places that deal with certain things of like overthrowing a president or a king or someone that's in like high leadership. This book transforms that into animals, like the animal kingdom. So like it's the overthrowing of a horse, the old horse, and there's like this lamb, and I hope that's not like representative of like Christianity, because that would be like, okay. But there's like this lamb or this goat on the farm that is like, I guess, destined to be the leader, or she's like the positive important one. But yeah, so the author kind of like creates this world that is like fantasized as animals instead of humans, and it talks about revolution, it talks about overthrowing a government, and it talks about just like the freeing of a nation's self. So yeah, I hope that it's not strange. I hope that it's actually a good read, because I heard that it is a good book. But I don't know, animals, humans, I mean, even though we are all animals and we are part of this huge earthly nature experience, humans are much different from animals. Like, I kind of love animals more than I love humans. I'm sorry. But animals just get it. Like, you know, animals can like feel an earthquake like 30 minutes to an hour before it happens. Or animals kind of like treat each other with respect unless they have to like fight for territory or food. They're not out here being like evil and creating wars. And maybe I will like this. Maybe I do want it to be the other way around, and I do want animals instead of humans. Glory. Okay, so the next book on my Red Holiday Festival, Winter Solstice, end of the year, holiday vibes stack is Colson Whitehead again, Harlem Shuffle. Boom. Cover is so cool. It's very like not what you normally see. I like that. I like the cover. So yeah, like I said earlier, I'm from Harlem. So as soon as I saw the title, you know, I bought it. And I bought it like a year and a half ago. Haven't read it. I collect books. Colson Whitehead wrote this book about a character by the name of Carney. And Carney lives in Harlem. So Carney is like the descendant of many people who are like crooks and thieves and like, you know, fast talking shysters. from Harlem. And this is set in, I believe this is set in the 60s. Yeah, I think this is set in the 60s or the 70s. And he has a furniture shop on 125th Street. For most of the people that don't know him, or they think that he's like a local business owner, they don't know that he has this other side to him that's more like shiesty, jive turkey kind of guy. The guy who like fences for like fraudulent acts, or the guy who like pawns a bunch of stolen things. And he just one of those people that does underhanded things but acts like he's just this guy who sells furniture. And he gets caught up in that one big deal, that one gig that everyone's looking for that'll like set them up for life and they can move. But of course, the deal goes wrong. And he gets caught up in this situation with like shady cops, dealing with like religious groups in the neighborhood. Tons of crazy things happen in this book, I'm sure. And it's just following Carney and seeing if he decides to choose the straight and narrow, or if he's gonna keep being that wishy-washy guy that's in the hood. So I'm guessing that Colson Whitehead is like from Harlem, or he like lived there for a long time, because they said that this is a love letter to Harlem. So yeah, I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. Can't wait to read it. Harlem Shuffle. All right, so the next book on my list is The Sweetness of Water, and this is by Nathan Harris. Everyone knows about this book. Y'all know this. Y'all seen this cover. Yeah, you have. I think I've talked about this book in a video in the past. I don't know why I have not read this book. Like, everyone is saying that this is a 5-star. Everyone loves this book. This is it. And I think this is his first book, and everyone's like, no, you did it. You knew what you were doing the first time around. Home run. You knocked it out of the park. This book is following two dual stories, two parallel stories. One story is about two brothers that are freed from slavery by the Emancipation Proclamation. I always struggle saying that because what? But yeah, so the brothers are freed and they're working down in the South, and they're trying to gain enough money so that they can go up north and find their mother who was sold in slavery. The parallel story is about two Confederate soldiers who come home from the war, and they are in love. And of course, this is at a time where not many people are accepting anybody coming home from the war talking about they gay. Even today, if we had World War III or anything like that, people are so against other. So, I don't know, going to the war, coming back, being in the war, even if there wasn't a war, people don't like gay. It's a shame. So yeah, it all like hits the fan with the two brothers that are dealing with the violent ridiculousness of the South during the Reconstruction era, and then all of the harsh and brutal violence that the two Confederate troops are dealing with because, of course, they are found out. Someone dies, and there are like crazy repercussions, and it's gonna be a wild ride. I should have read this a long time ago, but I will be reading this very soon. I feel like I have to. I mean, they got the Oprah's book club up there, 2021. You know that if it was in Oprah's book club, it was good. And then people are saying that it's good, because people low-key hate Oprah now. I've kind of like always, never mind. I know, I'm crazy. I'm getting so much more comfortable on this channel, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that's like sending comments and engaging, because as time goes on, you all will see exactly how crazy I am, and how this has all just been an introduction to the levels of DJ. Woo! Oh yeah, I got new piercings. I don't know if you guys can see it. I got you know, I've always had these lobes pierced. I got them pierced when I was like 16. But since I started my new job and I'm working with jewelry and piercers and things like that, I've been getting these piercings, and I got this new one on the inside. This is called your conch. If anybody wanted to know anything about ears, I never knew that the inside of your ear where the cartilage is, that's called your conch. First time I heard that, I was like, nah, let's just chill on talking about my conch, okay? But yeah, I did a little holiday thing and got some new piercings. I got my little conch done. I had my helixes done a while back. You guys probably already seen that, but I'm excited, and I'm telling everybody about it. And I hope that the piercers don't watch this, because they're all like, don't touch your piercings, and I'm touching them. Piercings. Okay, so the next book on my list is The Inheritance of Ida Divina. I hope I said that right because I struggled. You guys don't get to see the bloopers of when I'm like saying the names of these books and I'm talking about blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this book is by Zoraida Cordova. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry. So this book is following a family that I believe are the descendants, or they still live in Ecuador, and they're dealing with the loss of their matriarch. I'm not sure if it's their grandmother, their great-grandmother, but they get an invite to her funeral so that they can get their inheritance. Instead of getting their inheritance, which I'm not sure what it is, somehow Orquídea is transformed into a tree. And whatever fruits are bared, or somehow this tree ends up blessing, I believe, 3 members of the family, and there is some like hidden figure in the family that ends up like bringing the family some type of like trauma, or some type of like evil presence is bringing a bad experience to the family where people are dying or people are coming up missing, and I'm guessing it's because of the magic that they inherited from her. The summary of the book is very vague, so I'm not really sure, but it seems like a really good book, and I love books that are about magic and family and secrets, mystery. Love that. And we didn't talk about the cover. I think the cover is really pretty. Another book of the month. Ha. This is on the list. I had this book for a while. I haven't read it yet, but I think that beginning of the year, it's giving read this. It's giving hurry up and read this. So I will. Okay, we have made our way through this list. We are at the last book on my red holiday jingle bells, silent night, snowy storm, Santa's coming to town stack. And that last book on this list is Final Revival of Opal and Nev. Isn't that like fate? The last book would be talking about final. It's the last book. And this is the final revival of Opal and Nev. And this book is by Donnie Walton. So I read the summary of this book. I've seen a few reviews on it, but I hate to like watch reviews where people are telling me exactly what the book is about and I haven't read it. So I've just like gotten their ratings of the book, and a lot of people have given this like a 4.5 or a 5 star. They're like, it's amazing. This is it. This is another one this is it. So this book is following Opal, who is like somebody in town who's a bit different. She's a hipster, she's into rock and she's into music. She wants to be expressive and just like live that life of like a free spirit doing music. And she meets Neville, and they kind of like create this band together, and they are out performing. And one night when they are performing, I'm not sure if they're in like the deep south or wherever they are. And I'm thinking this is in the 60s or the 70s. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember, and I don't think it says it here, but I think this is in like the 60s or the 70s. And while they're out performing, there is another band that's on their label, and that band is performing, and they pull out a Confederate flag. You know, why? Why? Okay, whatever. Because they pull out this Confederate flag, Opal takes this time to protest in a very bold way. And apparently when she protests this moment, it causes some really devastating repercussions for her and for the band, I'm guessing, because they end up splitting up. Fast forward from the 60s or the 70s all the way to 2016, Opal is planning a reunion with Nev, and there is a local reporter who's like, hey, this is the perfect opportunity for me to get like a vocal history or get like a media content experience of this reunion. And she feels like these are like icons to her, so she wants to like document this. But apparently when she starts to dig deep into the two musicians and their stories and experiences, a lot of things come up that are wild and crazy, and that's what I'm gonna read about. So yeah, I can't wait to read this. So many authors that I love have read this book and they've given it like 5 stars. They're like, this is the one. And I hope that I get that experience as well. I love a good acclaimed book. So yeah, Opal and Nev, it's on the list. So the time has come to bid you all adieu. I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the different festive holidays and things that happen around this time. Just wanted to say hey to you guys and just bring some holiday cheer and joy to your YouTube experience. These nails. I'm done. You know what to do though. Go into the comments. Let's talk, let's chat, let's vibe. Give me your suggestions. Let me know what you all are planning on reading for the new year that's coming through. And of course, I'm going to do a video for the new year. Let's bring it in together with a bang and leave some suggestions. Let me know if you guys want like a specific video for the new year, if you want like a specific stack or like specific books and genres that you want to hear about. Let's do it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. The channel is growing. Welcome to all of the new folks. We did it. It's a Christmas video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.